Welcome to this week's edition of More Insights Strategy Hot Desk Podcast. This is episode, are we on 28? I think we're on 28. I'm Melody Brue, and I am joined here by Robert Kramer, who is our VP and Principal Analyst of ERP and Enterprise Data, among some other things. Today, we are going to be talking about a number of things, but in general, on this show, we talk about all of the tools, trends, and trajectories in people and marketing technologies, enterprise apps, ERP, CRM, and then all the glue that holds it all together, which is data. This week, we are talking about kind of one of my favorites, just because it's so fitting on as we go into the 4th of July holiday, is this Made in America, Intel's CHIPS Act money and their plans for that. IBM's
happy 4th of July first.
Yes, happy 4th of
to
July.
everybody. Sorry to interrupt, but it's such a fitting week for the fun and fireworks. But continue. Sorry about that.
It is fun, and interesting and weird fun fact about me. 3 of my children were born on or within a day of a patriotic holiday, so we are big.
That's cool.
We celebrate big. We've got a big flag in front of our house. So I have a 4th of July baby, a Labor Day baby, and a Memorial Day baby. And then the other one's Halloween, so he's the dark one, but don't tell me. I have holiday babies. Anyway, that's a digression. But we're also talking about Snapdragon's Manchester United partnership, and then we're going to talk a little CX, both RingCentral and Verint, and what's on deck for next week. So let's get going with that. So first of all, I did want to start with this just because I do like the kind of the association with the 4th of July holiday, but Intel announced they are receiving $8.5 billion in federal funding from the CHIPS Act. This is in addition to the $100 million that they're already investing of their own money, which they say is to expand chip making capacity and capabilities in Arizona, New Mexico, Oregon, and Ohio. But the thing I think is really interesting about this and really cool, I think, just for sort of the labor sector, I guess, which is that many of these jobs that they will be hiring for don't require a college degree. Many of these things are things that are like quality control or measurement, fabrication. These are associate's degrees that people can get in community college. So I think Intel is really investing in kind of upskilling the workforce. There's also a number of construction jobs that will come out of this. So I really like this from that perspective, the made in the USA, but also just providing a lot of jobs here and job opportunities to people that don't necessarily typically have them. And, we both do sustainability and a little bit of ESG from time to time when it comes to the data side of it. But I think just from like a human perspective, this is really cool because so many companies talk about, how they're bringing people kind of into technology with STEM, with, a number of other initiatives, kind of leveling the digital divide, bridging the digital divide. I'm a little sick, so my brain's not. And so this is just one of those things that's like in action, and I really like it. What are your thoughts?
I think so too. When companies are able to, branch out like you're talking about with their the workforce, I think it offers a lot more capabilities for those customers to kind of grow versus, just sticking with the resources they're used to. So it's great, and Intel is obviously a one of those companies that's a leading, USA made company. So I think that's really fits the target that you're talking about.
Yep, I like it. All right, on to IBM's acquisition. This is something you've been pretty involved in from the beginning because it was also with another one of your clients. So why don't you take this one off?
Yeah, this is really an interesting play for IBM, which is fitting exactly for what they're trying to do. IBM's buying an integration solution from Software AG, and it's their StreamSets and their webMethods, which is the combination of the two will make up what they call the Super iPaaS, which is more of a real-time iPaaS solution. It's something that takes real-time integration and API management and data ingestion, puts it into somewhat of a platform to utilize. So it's really fitting for IBM because of the fact that companies are looking to really modernize with their ERP solutions, and they're embedding AI, as you're seeing, everywhere, right? Everywhere we go, it's AI, AI. But AI only works well with good data quality, and this really takes the efforts away from not being able to have a unified environment. So what I'm seeing is they're going to be able to take this and help Watson X data. So they're going to be able to bring this, integration tool there, and I think that's a big deal because the Watson X data was really, made from the ground up for architecture to handle unstructured and structured data in their lakehouse, which allows them to now have a strong integration tool to actually utilize that. You have these companies that they have their ERP data, and then they have these SaaS applications. This will be able to marry a lot of that, which I see companies wanting to reduce their technology stacks, and this is really fitting for that. So long-winded answer, it's a really cool acquisition for IBM. I know it's one of those that they've been working on for a while, and here it is. So what do you think?
This just closed, right? And you were
Yep.
kind of in on the beginning of it when you were visiting with Software AG, who they bought it from.
Correct.
Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I actually wrote the introductory paper to the Super iPass when they released it about a year ago. And then I did a webinar about ERP integration with them recently, and also went over to Dublin for one of their customer events, and I interviewed the CEO of StreamSets. So I've been around Software AG to really see it from the beginning, and it's exciting because when you get to see these companies at this detail, it allows you to understand what their vision is and their mission and what they're trying to do. Now, the concern I have with Software AG is they're letting go of one of their strongest, features that they have. So they have some other products that are pretty strong, but not at this level. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we can help them, take those to a different level. Because I think that some of those products they have are good to help with the data quality components and looking at that, and also optimizing the data stacks. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's fun. I think it's really interesting when you get to see something kind of from start to end. You get to kind of see the whole evolution of it. So that's cool that you've been a part of that from the beginning. Which actually, good segue into our next thing, which is Snapdragon Manchester United. You got to go to England to visit Manchester United with Qualcomm to learn about Snapdragon's sponsorship there. I wasn't able to attend. I'm very jealous, but
I went in your place.
I think we both actually took Anshul's place, but which is great because we had
Anshul's place
yesterday to discuss. But yeah, this is we talked about this a little yesterday on Game Time Tech, but not everybody is watching every single podcast, even though they should.
They should. It's unbelievable if they're not.
Just because you have all the history here, give kind of your view of the evolution of this.
Yeah, so about a year ago, I think, I think last November, I went over there. So I was working with the marketing team and a couple other folks. What Snapdragon is looking to be the sponsor for Manchester United's the front. They call it the front of the shirt partner. And it's going to, it just got released, I think it was July 1. But in the makings that started last November is they were looking to take on this partnership. And we'll talk about that just in a second, what that means. But it's the branding of a sports team with a logo of IT technology. So it's the front of the shirt. It'll go on men's, women's, and the academy teams, and home and away. And I think they have like special jerseys as well. But this collaboration is really something that we and you have talked about. What is sports technology today? Is it's evolving. It's more than just a sponsorship. And we have our podcast, which is called Game Time Tech, that is elaborating on this subject matter. But it's going to allow the technology company to brand and showcase what they have on the front of the jersey. It's going to give the sporting team the technology that the IT company has, but it's going to ultimately improve the fan experience. And I think that's something, unique, because before 20 years ago, it was all about the sponsorship only. Now it's so dynamic and there's so much money in this. It's a matter of what is the number that actually is apropos for the ROI. So I think this is fantastic. I got to see it all the way up until recently that how everything kind of progressed, and the two of us are hopefully going to be in San Diego at Snapdragon Stadium when Manchester United debuts there at the end of July.
At the end of July, yeah, we'll do a special edition there where we can really have hands-on. Yeah, I think, it's interesting, obviously, from a branding perspective, because it's a B2B brand, it really helps Qualcomm get the Snapdragon logo, name. They even have a Sonic out there that's identifiable, almost like the Intel Inside was many, many years ago,
Mhm.
where consumers have a choice of, are you going to buy this phone or this phone? And Anshul talked about this yesterday. Like Samsung released several different phones. Well, the one with the Snapdragon chip sold better. If they can build an affinity with consumers, it really helps them, even just with their OEM partners, to go to them and say, look, consumers demand this superior product of a Snapdragon chip. So that helps them. It also helps them to sell those products, those OEM products, because they're saying, we're doing all of this, basically all of this advertising for you. It's not necessarily for their
Right.
product, but if people prefer a product with a Snapdragon chip, that's helpful for the end sale anyway. So
Well, like you said, it's business to people marketing, which is very um, unique, but absolutely correct way to do it, and it will brand the Snapdragon a little bit further than it is now because of the fact that as we were talking to Qualcomm, not everybody knows who Snapdragon is. This brings a lot of new customers and branding to those that are not aware of what it does. So I think it's a smart move. We're going to see these moves happen along the way with sports technology. It's another vehicle for the branding and technology to be used, as it's a huge component.
for sure. I think, Snapdragon as a brand is so well known in other regions. In China, it's super well known, but I think the AI
India.
PCs that just launched with the Snapdragon X chip in it, I think that's going to really elevate the brand here in the US as well. So we'll keep track of that. We'll keep on that.
So RingCentral, it's all you.
On to RingCentral. Yeah. So RingCentral has just integrated with a company called Medcare, which is a medical service provider, and they've implemented RingCentral solutions. And Medcare, so we've talked about this recently, is like healthcare tech is sort of like having a moment. And RingCentral really seems to be leaning into this. And you can see how something like, with a really good cloud phone solution, plus all of the AI built in, they were able to get in with their RingSense AI and RingCentral Contact Center. They've said that they were able to they've reported a 40% reduction in call wait time. I don't always look at that as like the key KPI. I think definitely call wait time, people get frustrated. Um, Time to resolution, things like that. But when you're talking about medical needs, call wait time is significant. When
Hmm.
you have something where you need, a device or a wheelchair or whatever, this is stuff that you can't get wrong. These are critical solutions. And so they reported a 40% reduction in wait call and substantial savings in call reviews and agent coaching. That's because of their AI. um, they've really made a big push into these more tailored solutions for healthcare, and I think that's really smart. And we talk a lot about how AI was a really obvious use case for customer service, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second with Verint as well. But when you add in the really critical things like healthcare, um, government contracts where, people are on hold for a reason. They're not just, calling to complain about something. Obviously, there's a reason people are calling, but these are kind of more critical things. When you're dealing with government agencies, healthcare, banking, the really kind of more sensitive things. I like that they're, really leaning into this and solving those problems to get those issues resolved much quicker. Um, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but I think you
Well,
will have something to add.
I think healthcare is a gigantic subject. Obviously, it's one of those things where we didn't have AI, at the forefront that we do now to analyze data. I think it's also been this is not the best thing to say, but a bully type of industry where the ones that had the most money, were at the top of the funnel from a medication and service from a healthcare. I think now that they can look at with the unstructured structured data, these lake houses and these intelligent platforms, and aggregate the data and find some of these companies that are doing these trials and to find ways to service the industry a little bit better. But it's a very complicated subject. I think Oracle is doing a great job with this. They're looking at it. There's a lot of companies. Cloudera is doing something fantastic where they're specialized in the healthcare business and more of the complex situations where the data is hard to find and aggregate where it's useful. But
Mhm.
you know, it's great that we're seeing this moving forward, because I think if you go back 10 years ago, it was more of those companies that had the money that reached to the top to keep on it selling. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And there's so much going on in this space, not just in customer service, but just in healthcare in general. Like just last week, I think last week or the week before, I'm in a time where Salesforce announced their life sciences cloud.
Hmm.
There's just it, but I think you're right that there's sort of like I hate to use this word, but democratization of
Yeah,
healthcare at this
yeah.
point, of healthcare services. I wouldn't say of healthcare, where even just medical trials. That was one of the use cases that Salesforce talked about in the launch
Hmm.
of Life Science Cloud, is that the AI will help them to quicken the medical or the drug trials and any medical trials, because it keeps track of the follow through, the results, all the things, which those are places where often trials drop along the way, is that
Hmm.
participation drops. So the AI can actually help to kind of wrangle everybody in and kind of figure out where the things are dropping off. So yeah, so much interesting stuff happening in healthcare. I think we will continue to follow that. And I think
I
you
agree.
mentioned Oracle. You heard from Larry Ellison at Oracle about their commitment to healthcare. We will both be at Oracle Cloud World
Yep.
in September,
Yep.
and so I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more about that. I was just in Tennessee where they're moving their headquarters, so we were talking about that when we were there. But anyway, let's move on to Verint. Another CX kind of experience, and another kind of major, I would say, sort of critical infrastructure type of thing. So Verint is a CX automation company, if you're not
Hmm.
familiar, and they just announced a $6.5 million contract with a U.S. public utility company. They didn't name which one it is. So obviously, this is a pretty major AI deal for them. One, it involves multiple of their AI-powered bots. So they're going to deploy several different bots on Verint's open platform. So they'll have data insights, transcription, interaction wrap up, and then quality bots. So this really kind of helps. I think what the goal was for this utility company was, obviously everybody's interested in cost reduction, but better customer insights, increase retention, and then upsell on opportunities through this CX automation. But I think in general, so this is a great deal for Verint, obviously. They have some really interesting bots. I talked about one of them a while ago, which is like their time flex bot, which is how customer service agents can kind of trade for time slots, which relieves a manager of having to approve every single thing. But these bots, and now since then I've seen it from other companies as well. But even CRM, or sorry, HCM companies offering this kind of like flexible kind of scheduling through AI and bots. Excuse me, I'm a little sick. But I think this kind of speaks to a couple of different things. One, major industry trend in terms of AI powered bots that are going to help improve the customer experience and drive results. But I think this also really showcases kind of the scalability and flexibility of these Verint bots. Like I said, they can do kind of this time schedule, but all the CX automation solutions to meet specific needs. And it's just really kind of, I guess, in general, not just for Verint, but just for industry-wide, it's just kind of an example of how AI is transforming customer service and delivering value for customers, across various sectors. This happens to be another one that's sort of critical, right? Like healthcare, a public utility company, if you lose your power, getting that service and getting into the why and to the how and the when is it going to be fixed, and even being able to have kind of that outbound communication, all of these very important things, these are critical things. When you're without power, this is not something you can, have any downtime. You can have extra wait time. You can have agents who aren't up to speed on what's happening in the situation. So these are really critical things, and I think important that AI is actually helping to kind of solve these problems and seeing these use cases.
It's interesting because and if you go to a manufacturing perspective, Industry 4.0 was smart factory and automation, but when you get to 5.0, which we're going to see, people talk about a little bit more, it merges robotics and humans, right? And that's kind of what you're talking about. It's helping, solve problems, but not every problem with a robot, but it's allowing the humans to get more efficient, right? And I think we're going to be seeing that if you translate that to all the different types of industries, that what you're talking about is really a great step into this direction that I'm talking about.
Yeah, human in the loop is, I think, the ideal situation, right? I mean, there's some things
Yep.
obviously that the bot can do for us, which frees us up more time to do the things that are more human.
Right.
Well, we got through those things real quick. That was a long list, but we do have a couple of exciting things coming up.
Yep.
I am headed in a couple of days to Wimbledon. We talked a little bit about
Fabulous.
our Game Time Tech. In the show notes, we have a couple of them linked. The most recent one being what we did with IBM at Wimbledon and using their AI to really enhance the game for fans. So I will be there on site at Wimbledon, and I'm super excited about that. We'll definitely have to talk more about that when I'm back. You are headed.
I'm heading to New York, but I'm definitely going to be jealous of Wimbledon. I was there a long time ago, and actually one of my buddies who was my roommate in London is visiting for the holidays, and we were talking about the hats. I'm going to have to send you a hat because we sat behind these women on center court. They had these gigantic hats. We have this picture of us going oh my God, we can't see. We saw the last time that Jimmy Connors played at Wimbledon. So it was really very cool. But I'm actually going to be in New York for an AWS Analyst forum, and it's also a customer event the next day. So I'm assuming that it's going to be a lot of generative AI, but they're also doing a lot of different things in the cloud. We're going to be very interested to see how they're handling some of these data points that we talked about and highlighted during this show, but also some of their new partnerships with NVIDIA and SAP, and how we expect to see some really nice things from those partnerships, plus more that they're doing. So, and then hopefully at the end of the month, we'll be in San Diego. So great month ahead. Yeah. And although we got the 4th of July, so hopefully everybody's going to be barbecuing, and very exciting. So
I'm going to say that sounds like a good time, but I think I win on getting to go to Wimbledon. I'm going to
for sure.
I will not be wearing a hat this time. I'll check it out and we'll see. But I am ready with my Wimbledon whites, not my my husband made a joke this morning that I looked like I should be churning butter in this dress. So I'll be wearing something more Wimbledon appropriate.
You'll be great. I can't wait to see the pictures. But Melanie Brue and Robert Kramer from More Insights and Strategy, thank you for joining the Hot Desk and episode 28. Have a wonderful 4th of July. Enjoy the fireworks and everything centered around your families. We'll see you next time.
Bye.